What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. Today, I'll be doing another silly season update where I'll recap everything that's happened through the 2024 to 2025 silly season. This will include everything from drivers to crew chief changes to also some media rights silly season as well. So anyways, let's go ahead and jump straight into it. Silly season would kick off in late February to early March when rumors circulated that Honda was interested in joining NASCAR. Now, Honda has stated publicly that the only way they would join NASCAR is if they implemented a hybrid system, which a hybrid system could be coming in 2026. We've heard rumors of Andretti coming in as well potentially, but Honda is looking to join NASCAR. Then back in the middle of March, it was reported that Kurt Busch might have been teasing a potential return to NASCAR. Now, Kurt Busch has still not been medically cleared by doctors to make a return to the sport, but Kurt Busch has shown at least a little bit of interest about potentially coming back, and if Kurt Busch does end up getting medically cleared, we could see Kurt Busch return to NASCAR in the near future if he wants to come back. Then throughout this year, there's been a lot of talk about Andretti potentially joining NASCAR. And about a month ago, we saw Mario Andretti on the Dale Jr. download and spoke about the possibility of saying some big things are coming for Andretti in the future. There is a chance that we could see Andretti potentially go to NASCAR. Then it was announced in the middle of April to early May that Matt DiBenedetto will be joining Viking Motorsports the remainder of the season. And while there's rumors that he could leave Viking at the end of this year, there's a great chance and possibility that he'll return to Viking Motorsports in 2025. He could move to another team, but as of right now, the plan is for him to stick with Viking Motorsports next season. Then in early May, late April, reports began to circulate that JTG Daugherty Racing was about to have some ownership changes, as Kroger is expected to be leaving JTG Daugherty at the end of this year, and Tad and Jody Gashecki are not expected to return to the organization in 2025. There'll be some ownership changes, some partnership changes coming over to JTG in the not-so-distant future. One organization that could be looking to expand in the future is RFK Racing. They've had talks about potentially expanding, but they're going to need a charter. And charters currently cost around $25 to $30 million, and a charter agreement has still not been finalized at this point. If they do expand, it will likely come from the number 60 Stage 60 program that's been run in select races this year. Then it was announced in early to late April that Brody Kosecki would not be returning to NASCAR in 2024. However, he stated that he could make a comeback in 2025, with the potential of RCR running a third car in select races next year. If they can find a way to get things done, we could see Brody Kosecki come over to NASCAR in 2025. Then it was announced in late April that Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has signed a 3-year contract extension with JTG Daugherty Racing to continue driving the number 47 car. While I mentioned earlier that JTG Daugherty is expected to have a name change going into next season, we will see Ricky Stenhouse Jr. stick around and continue driving the number 47 car in 2025, and 26, and 2027 as well. Another manufacturer that's been interested in joining NASCAR is Hyundai. According to a report by Adam Stern back in late April, Hyundai has been interested in joining NASCAR, and this is what Ed Laukas, who used to work at Toyota, basically told the media. Hyundai is one of the many manufacturers that wants to come in, but they're going to need a hybrid system for that to happen, and they could find a way to come in with that new EV that's come up very recently. But we could see a new manufacturer coming in very, very soon. Then it was announced in the first week of May that Dale Jr. will be going to TNT and Amazon starting in 2025. They're likely going to build a broadcast around Dale Jr. for the 2025 season, and Dale Jr. I think is going to have a really big way of really helping the program go through, and I think it's really huge for Amazon and TNT to pick up Dale Jr. Then it was announced in the middle of May that Michael McDowell will be leaving Front Row Motorsports at the end of the season and will be joining Spire Motorsports in 2025, driving the number 71 car. And according to reports, it's a multi-year deal. It's also expected that Travis Peterson is going to be the crew chief for Michael McDowell starting in the 2025 season. He'll be leaving Front Row most likely at the end of the season. After the Darlington race, Brad Keselowski confirmed that Chris Buescher had signed a multi-year contract extension with RFK Racing back in 2023. We don't officially know the details on how long that contract extension was signed, but we know that Chris Buescher will be back with RFK for the long-term future. There's been a lot of talk about Junior Motorsports looking to go Cup Series racing in the future, and they have been one of the teams that's been looking at some charters. However, they are not expected to purchase a charter for 2025. Now, there is a chance of possibly that they could go part-time in 2025, but at this moment in point, many are expecting that Junior Motorsports is not going to be back in Cup full-time. They're likely going to stay in the Xfinity Series in 2025 full-time. One team that's not expected to sell charters, however, in 2025 is Kaulig Racing. Chris Rice went on Sirius and NASCAR Radio not too long ago, about a month and a half ago, and stated that Kaulig Racing will not be selling charters, and they're not planning to merge with Trackhouse Racing. That had been a rumor going around they were going to merge. They will not be merging with Trackhouse Racing for 2025. A former driver that's been interested in maybe making a comeback to the sport in some sort of capacity is Carl Edwards. Now, Carl Edwards stated in a media call when it was announced he'd be going in the Hall of Fame that he's not planning to return to NASCAR to drive. However, he's very interested in going into booth. He says the reason he's not going to drive is because he needs commitment to be in the sport, but he does say he's very interested in joining a booth like Fox, NBC, TNT, or Amazon, or could go to a network like the CW. For 2025, we could see him return in the future. Then it was reported about a month ago that Bubba Wallace is close to signing a multi-year contract extension with 23XI Racing. While the deal has not been announced, many are expecting it's going to be a 2 to 3 year deal for Bubba Wallace. He's done a really great job with 23XI Racing over the course of the last couple of years. He's gotten better in recent weeks, and he will likely stick around and continue driving a 23 car for many years to come, including in 2025. In that same report, it was officially confirmed that Austin Dillon has signed a multi-year extension with Richard Childress Racing. Austin Dillon revealed not so long ago at Chicago that is a 2-year, 3-year deal, that he'll be back in the 3 car, and he'll stick around for the next few years. There are rumors he could retire at the end of this season, but as of now, Austin Dillon is going to stay with RCR for at least the foreseeable future in the number 3 car. Then it was announced in early June that Stewart-Haas Racing would officially be shutting down at the end of 2024, meaning that SHR, after 15 years and successful years at points and winning multiple championships with Kevin Harvick and Tony Stewart, they will be gone at the end of the year. And 3 of the 4 charters are going away from the Haas organization starting in 2025, but Stewart-Haas Racing will be gone at the end of this season. One of those organizations that could get a charter going into 2025 is 23XI Racing. According to reports, 23XI Racing is expected to purchase a Stewart-Haas Racing charter and expand to a 3-car operation. While the charter agreement is still not finalized at this point, we are expecting that a deal is going to get done in the not-so-distant future for this organization to get a charter. Another team that's expected to pick up a charter is Trackhouse Racing. Trackhouse has been very keen on expanding. They've got multiple drivers that are trying to find a way in the Cup Series going into next year that are part of the Trackhouse family. And we know there could be some big movement coming for Trackhouse going into the not-so-distant future, as they are likely going to purchase an SHR charter. One team we know for sure that's going to be picking up one of those SHR charters is Front Row Motorsports, as it was announced in the middle of June that Front Row Motorsports had officially acquired a charter from Stewart-Haas Racing. That it was a $20 million charter, and they will be a 3-car team in 2025. We'll talk about the drivers here in a second who will be going over there, but Front Row spent quite a bit of money, and they did lose a little money on that charter. Then it was confirmed that Cam Waters will be returning to Supercars in 2025. There have been rumors and speculation that he was potentially going to be going over to NASCAR in full time, but he's going to be sticking around with Supercars and staying with the Ford program at least through 2025. One driver that's been interested in coming over to NASCAR is Joseph Newgarden, and he's interested in doing the double, running the Coke 600 and the Indy 500 on the same day. He saw what Kyle Larson is trying to do and other drivers have done in the past, and we could see Joseph Newgarden try it out in the not-so-distant future. Then it was officially confirmed in the middle of June that Todd Gilliland has signed a multi-year contract extension with Front Row Motorsports to stick around for multiple years. While the number has not been announced, many believe that he'll be back in the 38 car next season, as he's been in that 38 car at least for the last couple of years. Another driver that's expected to sign an extension with their organization is Daniel Suarez, who is very close to signing an extension with Trackhouse Racing. He said about a week or 2 ago that they're very close to getting it done. I would not be surprised or shocked in the next week or so if it does get done, and it will likely stay in the number 99 car in 2025. A driver that has been talked about potentially moving up to the Cup Series is Chandler Smith. There's been rumors that he can move up to an organization like JGR in 23XI Racing, but it does sound like more than likely that he will be sticking around in the Xfinity Series for 2025. Chandler's been doing a good job in Xfinity, though he hasn't won in a while, and I do think that Chandler will be looking to get better and stay in Xfinity in 2025. Another driver that could move up to the Cup Series next year is Sam Mayer. There's been talk that he potentially is a candidate to join Front Row Motorsports or Kaulig Racing next season. Sam Mayer does have a little bit of funding and sponsorship with him and also has a little family backing as well. They're looking for a young team over at Front Row Motorsports, and we do believe that he could be a candidate to join the Front Row Motorsports team next season. Another driver that's looking to move up is Christian Eckes. According to Bob Pockers, Christian Eckes could join the Cup Series in 2025. He's been linked to two organizations, Front Row and Kaulig Racing, though many believe there's also a chance he could stay in the Truck Series in 2025 as well. He'll likely move up next season and potentially move up, but if he doesn't, he'll stay in the Truck Series once again. Another driver that's expected to jump up to the Cup Series next year is Shane Van Gisbergen, as many believe that Shane Van Gisbergen is going to be joining Trackhouse in the Cup Series next year. It'll bring some funding with him as well. SVG has been doing a really good job in Xfinity. He just picked up a top 5 at Indianapolis, and he's been doing a really good job in the Xfinity Series so far this year. And many do believe of how well I think he could do in Cup. They don't think he needs another year. I think he's ready to make the jump up, and I think he will make the jump up to the Cup Series in 2025. This is not good news for Zane Smith, however, as rumors speculation is that Zane Smith could be out of Trackhouse at the end of this year and could be going either to Kaulig Racing or Front Row Motorsports. Front Row has been one of the two main drivers that's been linked to the Front Row organization for next season, and I think Zane going to Front Row would make a ton of sense. It's a good team to work with, and I think they'd be able to help him out develop as a race car driver and get better, plus as a team that he originally drove for. So he could be going there in 2025. Another driver recently that's been linked to move up to the Cup Series is Riley Herbst, and it sounds like he more than likely will get the third 23XI racing car for next season. Riley just won the most recent race at Indianapolis Motor Speedway and has been doing a great job in Xfinity in the last couple of weeks. And the reason that he's likely moving up is because of the money from Monster Energy. Monster's looking to fund that ride with the B2B deal he has with the Terrible Herbst brand. Now let's talk about Martin Truex Jr. As it was announced during the Iowa weekend that Martin Truex Jr. will be retiring from full-time racing at the end of this year. However, shockingly, Martin Truex Jr. is actually going to be sticking around and working part-time with 23XI Racing more than likely. He's going to stay with JGR as an ambassador for the team, and many do believe he's going to run part-time in Xfinity with JGR, and also likely run part-time, like I said, with 23XI. He'll likely stick around for the 2025 season. Another driver that's pretty much confirmed their ride for 2025 is Kyle Busch, as Kyle Busch will be returning to Richard Childress Racing in 2025. Well, there have been talk of chatter that Kyle Busch could leave to go back to JGR. Many do believe that Kyle Busch is just tripping. He's been frustrated with RCR as of recent weeks. He will likely stick around and stay with RCR for the long term and the foreseeable future. Another driver's future that is most likely set is Justin Haley. There were rumors that he could go to the Wood Brothers next season, but Justin Haley is expected to stay with Rick Ware. They've helped him grow. The team's been growing on a week-by-week basis, and I do truly believe that Justin Haley has been really helping the program get better, so he'll stick around and continue driving for Rick Ware next season. Another driver that might be on the move, though, is Ryan Preece, as Ryan Preece could be returning to the Xfinity Series in 2025. It is believed that Ryan Preece will get a 1 or 2 year deal potentially with Haas Factory. That's been the rumor he's been linked to, and he could be headed to the Xfinity Series next season. A driver that did confirm their future, though, about 2 or 3 weeks ago is Josh Berry, as Josh Berry confirmed that he would be joining the Wood Brothers in 2025, driving the number 21 car. We don't know who the crew chief and the sponsors are really at this time, but Josh Berry will be going full-time Cup racing once again and will be driving the 21 car for the Wood Brothers next year. This means that Harrison Burton is currently out of a job at the moment for 2025. Now, there is a chance he could go to the Xfinity Series next year, but he also potentially could make the move to go ahead and go to a team like the Haas Factory team. That could certainly be an option and certainly a possibility for Harrison Burton in 2025. Then it was announced a little before this that the Haas factory team will be joining the Cup Series next year, as they will retain a Stewart-Haas racing charter. There'll be one Cup team and 2 Xfinity Series teams. Joe Custer is going to manage the operation for the organization, and they will have an RFK Racing Alliance, as they confirmed this past weekend at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We talk about the driver a little bit later in this episode, but they will be sticking around in the Cup Series next year. Then it was announced about a month ago that Chase Briscoe will be driving the 19 car for Joe Gibbs Racing in 2025. And while there was speculation that Richard Boswell could follow Chase Briscoe over to JGR, Chase Briscoe will have James Small as the crew chief. Bass Pro is going to sponsor Chase Briscoe for many races next year, and he will continue to stick around and will be there at least for the next few years. He's expected to have a pretty solid and great year, and I do think that Chase Briscoe could have a chance and opportunity to be competitive with JGR next season. Then it was basically confirmed that Eric Almirola will be still sticking around with JGR for multiple races. Eric Almirola had been suspended by Joe Gibbs Racing for at least a few months after an altercation between him and Bubba Wallace in a competition meeting, but they resolved their conflict, it seems like, and that Eric Almirola has been back at the track. He had a really good run in Indianapolis very recently, and he'll stick around and continue driving the number 20 car for at least the foreseeable future. During the Chicago weekend, it began to be reported that Connor Zilisch is in talks to join Junior Motorsports starting in 2025. Connor Zilisch has been really good. He's a racing prodigy, and he just turned 18 today, so happy birthday to him. I do think Connor Zilisch is going to be a threat if he does move up to Xfinity full-time next year, and I think he'll be super competitive and have a strong year. If he does go to JRM, he'll likely take the one car if Sam Mayer does move up the Cup. Then it was announced about 2.5 weeks ago that Ronnie Childers will be joining Spire Motorsports in 2025 as a crew chief for the number 7 car. Now, they did not say that he'll be crew chief for Corey LaJoie for multiple years, as LaJoie will be on a contract here next season. But Ronnie Childers makes a really shocking move, as he'll go to Spire Motorsports, a crew chief for them in 2025. Then it was announced about 2 weeks ago that Noah Gragson will be joining Front Row Motorsports full-time in 2025 on a multi-year deal. While the number was not announced on the announcement, it's expected that Noah Gragson will be driving the 34 car next season. Love's expected to sponsor him, and we saw a tweet from Horizon Hobby that they're interested in sponsoring him as well. So Noah Gragson will be joining Front Row full-time next season. Then there was a media rights silly season report that came out about a week and a half ago, and it's reported that Marty Smith could be headed to Amazon in 2025 as the lead commentator. Marty Smith, to my understanding, has never been a lead commentator for a broadcast at this point, but Marty Smith does have a lot of NASCAR experience, and Dale Jr. is building a big broadcast booth for next year, and he's expected to potentially join Amazon in 2025 with announcements coming very, very soon. Another person that can be part of that broadcast booth is Steve Letarte. And Steve Letarte is rumored to not only be part of Amazon, but also be part of the Warner Brothers in TNT next year. Steve Letarte's been with NBC for about 10 years, but of course Steve and Dale are really good buddies, so it would make a lot of sense to see Steve Letarte join the team in 2025. Adam Alexander has also rumored to potentially be a candidate for Prime and TNT, but many believe that he will be going to be the lead candidate and likely be joining the CW next season. Adam Alexander has been doing a really good job for the Xfinity Series, and they need to bring someone in there that's really going to help the Xfinity Series grow as they move over to the CW next season. So Adam Alexander is that guy that many believe could really do that. Then it was announced last week that Trackhouse Racing has sold a minority ownership stake to Avenue Sports Fund. Mark Usery, who is running that fund group, who is a former owner of the Milwaukee Bucks, is going to be paying a ton of money out to Trackhouse Racing to try to help their performance, as the team has struggled a little bit in recent years, not just with Ross Chastain, but also with Daniel Suarez as well. Then Carson Qualify recently did an interview with Dustin Albino from Front Stretch and a couple other companies that he is hoping to run more races in 2025 and 2024 as well. And there is a chance that he could be full-time in the Xfinity Series next year if they could find a way to get the sponsorship and funding for him in 2025 with Junior Motorsports. Then it was announced over the weekend that Cole Custer will be joining the Haas factory team in the NASCAR Cup Series in 2025, driving the number 41 car. Cole Custer will be sponsored by Haas for pretty much the whole entire season next year, though we could see Andy's Frozen Custer work with him. The crew chief was not announced, but I already mentioned this. They will have an RFK alliance with the team in 2025. Cole's looking to have a very solid performance with the team next year as they look to build up their program going into 2025. A driver that could potentially be with this team in the Xfinity Series next year is Hailie Deegan, as Joe Custer was asked questions about Hailie Deegan and the potential possibility, and Hailie Deegan's name did come up, and he says they've actually had talks and conversations about her joining the team. They see a lot in her, they believe in her, and they think that she does have some talent. She ran a Trans Am race very recently. We know that she won't be back with AM Racing for the rest of the year, but there is a great chance and a really strong possibility that Hailie Deegan will in fact be part of the Haas factory team in 2025. Then on Bob Bacharach's most recent silly season report, he mentioned that Allmendinger could be returning to the Cup Series next year if they find the sponsorship and funding. AJ more than likely, of course, will not be going Cup racing full-time if they don't find a sponsorship, but they might just look to move him up next year if they don't have any other way. And finally, over the weekend, Kyle Larson reiterated that he is hoping to still run the 2025 Indianapolis 500. He had originally a 2-year deal with Arrow McLaren to drive and do the double, but nothing's been officially signed at this point, but they're hoping to get a deal done so Kyle Larson can, in fact, go ahead and run the double. So, that is going to be it for the NASCAR Silly Season Update July edition. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so that if I win a video, it does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support on Patreon as well. Links description below that, and comment your thoughts below on today's episode. What are your thoughts about this silly season update? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Tomorrow on the channel will most likely have a NASCAR news video discussing news over the course of the last couple days. Then on Thursday will be one of the biggest videos on the channel all year, as all of the top 100 greatest NASCAR Cup Series drivers ever. And then on Friday there should be a NASCAR news video, and over the weekend I'm going to have some really great content dropping on the channel for you guys. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.